Here's a letter that I found that was written to Director Comey by a former FBI agent that's retired. A letter to James Comey, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, at the J. Edgar Hoover Building, 935 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20535. The letter reads as follows. Sir, I am writing regarding your public statement in July 2016 informing the American people that the FBI investigation of Hillary Clinton was being closed without referring it to a federal grand jury or the Attorney General of the United States for a decision whether or not to indict her. Strangely, you eloquently laid out enough of the evidence deduced from the investigation to strongly indicate there was abundant evidence uncovered during the investigation and interview of Hillary, not only to indict, but to convict her in federal court. However, you personally reworded and soft-pedaled the actions Hillary took as Secretary of State, describing her actions as extremely careless in using a personal email and unsecured server for her communications while Secretary of State. You rewrote the law, which is not your job. As a retired special agent of the FBI, I have standing to write this letter. My 30 years in law enforcement, including 22 years as a special agent with the FBI, has given me the knowledge, expertise, and experience to question and confront you for your perplexing actions, which, as you well know, were outside the normal standard operating procedure of the FBI and federal judicial procedures. Some of the finest people in the world proudly carry the credentials of FBI agent, and you have soiled them and not allowed them to speak. But I will not be silent. Sorry, but no, sir. Hillary Clinton was not just careless or extremely careless. She was not even negligent or grossly negligent, as the law requires. Hillary Clinton was knowingly purposeful in her decisions and actions to set up a server under her exclusive control and possession in order to control what information was available to the American public and Congress regarding her actions as Secretary of State. Furthermore, she took those government-owned communications into her personal possession after leaving her position and knowingly and willingly destroyed them. So her nefarious actions and corrupt immorality that were found on the servers could never be known or used against her as evidence in a court of law against her. Sir, what possessed you? Did you cave in to political pressure to unilaterally come to this decision? I fear that is the case, and the rule of law be damned. I am embarrassed for and ashamed of you. You have set a precedent that can never be rectified, and certainly not justified. Shame on you, sir. You ought to resign right now in disgrace for what you have done to tarnish the reputation of the finest law enforcement agency in the world. Normally, an investigation will be assigned to an agent or a team of agents, with one being the case agent or the lead investigator. When the investigation is complete, an investigative report will be presented to the U.S. Attorney for the federal district involved. It would be the U.S. Attorney who decides whether or not to decline prosecution for that investigation, not the FBI agent. But in the Clinton investigation, you unilaterally decided not to forward the investigation to the U.S. Attorney or the Attorney General, but instead personally made the decision not to provide the information to a federal grand jury for prosecution consideration. You were wrong to take this upon yourself. Sir, in order to indict a subject only a preponderance of evidence, or 51%, is needed for probable cause to exist. You did not think even that level of probability. I'll say it again. You did not think that level of probability existed? Who do you think you are fooling? What judicial proceeding did you think you were following? Throughout my years with the FBI, I, along with my fellow agents, took great pride in conducting each investigation in an unbiased manner, regardless of the subject's position or standing in the community. All were treated equally under the law, but you, sir, decided to allow this corrupt, evil, and nasty human being to go free and unchallenged for her treasonous actions. Yes, treasonous in my opinion, which threatened the security of this nation. Furthermore, you stopped short of investigating the Clinton Foundation as a RICO case. RICO means racketeering, influenced, and corrupt organization. This is a RICO case if there ever was one. Even an untrained person can tell from the communications which were recovered that Hillary Clinton spent more time working for the Clinton Foundation while Secretary of State than on state business. It may be argued that Hillary did not do any state business unless the Clinton Foundation benefited. You decided to just let this uncomfortable truth alone without addressing it. I will conclude with this. Following my retirement from the FBI, I volunteered for a 12-month tour of duty in Afghanistan as a law enforcement professional embedded with the U.S. forces as a subject matter expert in counterterrorism investigations. For most of that year, I operated outside the wire, patrolling with the troops, interviewing witnesses to IED incidents, and gathering evidence on the bad guys. The results of my work would then be reported through secure channels to the commanding officer. All reports and communications were required to be transmitted via secure and encrypted devices. Occasionally, my remote location in the mountains of Afghanistan made transmission impossible, and I would have to fly back to Bagram Air Base in order to securely report to the commander of the battle space. It would have been convenient if I could have just called the commander on my personal cell phone or written him an email on my personal laptop. But had I done so, I would have been reporting classified information via an unsecured device, and it could have been compromised. These were relative to Hillary Clinton's Secretary of State communications, low-level classifications of secret. Had I ever sent even one in such a manner, I would have been prosecuted and sent to a federal prison for up to 20 years. That is how serious this violation is considered. Now, because of you, Hillary Clinton is allowed to continue her RICO activities and is running for President of the United States, the most powerful position in the world. You have trampled on the rule of law and destroyed the trust of the American people in the FBI and in unbiased enforcement of the law. How do you sleep at night? It is time for you to go and work for the Clinton Foundation again. Yours in disgust. And I've got his name, but I withheld it. It just says FBI agent retired. So that's the end of the letter. Pretty strong words there. And I do have some more information. This is the latest news from the grapevine. Okay, the latest news from the grapevine is that the FBI is revolting against Comey and that agents view him as a dirty cop, according to a former U.S. attorney. I know that inside the FBI there is a revolt. Joseph DeGenova tells the American Spectator. There is a revolt against the director. The people inside the Bureau believe the director is a dirty cop. They believe that he threw the Hillary Clinton email case. They do not know what he was promised in return, but the people inside the Bureau who were involved in the case and who knew about the case are talking to former FBI people expressing their disgust at the conduct of the director. The loss of faith in the Bureau chief stems in part from a dishonest rendering of the decision not to indict Mrs. Clinton as unanimous rather than unilateral, and in part of the Bureau's decision to destroy evidence in this case and grant blanket immunity to Clinton underlings for no possible possible purpose. There is a consensus among the employees that the director has lost all credibility and that he cannot lead the Bureau, DeGenova explains. They are comparing him to L. Patrick Gray, the disgraced former FBI director who threw Watergate papers into the Potomac River. The resistance to the director has made the agency incapable of action. It has been described to me as a depression within the agency, unlike anything that anyone has ever seen within the Bureau. The director's public explanation for the unorthodox investigation are viewed by people in the Bureau as sophomoric and embarrassing. The speculator added that the FBI's own notes cited Clinton aides destroying old Blackberries. Clinton was reported to have 13 devices. 13 Blackberries were destroyed with hammers, which isn't State Department policy. Well, of course it's not. The publication also adds that agents are now a bit on edge, that Congress could subpoena them over Comey's handling of the investigation. Well, there's a letter and also some more information from a man named DeGenova. Please add your comments below. What do you think of Comey's handling of the FBI situation? Do you think Comey was getting paid off? Do you think he's promised a nice cabinet post in the Clinton administration if she wins, or maybe a post within the Clinton Foundation? Please comment on what you think of all this, and like this video, share it, get it out there, and subscribe. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.